And before I sentence you, I'd like to say a few words about your arrest record. What the hell?
Yo, the sign is real simple, B. It says wrap it up. Wrap that shit up, B.
I don't think that's a good idea.
Man, you want some too? You better wrap it up.
Welcome back.
Sorry. Okay, go.
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes. It's time for the 4th episode of Loki. It's been kind of ho-hum, but last week we finally started to build up to something. I think this has easily been the most exciting issue of the season so far. I'm giving it like a 4.5 star. I quite enjoyed it, although I was let down by a couple of things here at the end. But I don't know if it's because the quality leading up to this hasn't been so great, but I came away quite happy with this episode, Aaron Sparrow. What did you think about it?
I actually liked it too. I think that I'm trying to decide whether or not my lowered expectations from the first 3 episodes kind of contributed to me enjoying this more than I normally would. But this episode, at least, I thought had some action. It had some ideas going on. You know, there were some mysteries revealed and things, things happening that made the episode engaging for me. So, I think it is the best one of the season so far.
So we kind of called it. They're sitting on that planet. Well, I guess it's a moon. They're about to die. I was like, yeah, Mobius is going to find them. And that's essentially what happens. But before that, there's a little bit of chemistry between Sylvie and Tom Hiddleston's Loki this time. A little bit more. Mm-hmm. Although I think they're supposed to be in love. I don't know that it went that far. But certainly there's a little bit more chemistry. They get saved. And then there's just this wonderful interaction, like maybe 5-6 minutes between Mobius and Loki sitting down, talking about what's happened, and the fact that he's essentially Loki has fallen in love with himself, and that has caused this enormous timeline anomaly that's happened. And all I could think was, I don't want him to be in love with Sylvia. I was like, get these two together because their chemistry is so great. It was like the most tense 5 minutes of the entire season so far, and I was loving every minute of it.
Well, the show has really shined whenever Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson are playing off of each other. I think that it's been those have been the best moments, and it's based purely on the charisma of those actors. The things that are being written for them are not even necessarily that compelling, but they bring such gravitas to everything that they do that when they're bouncing off each other, it really works. And Owen Wilson's kind of sarcastic straight man is really a perfect foil for Loki, who's just an over-the-top liar and swindler. And
yeah, he's documenting all his lies and bringing them back up. I was like, oh, you just lied to me again. You want me to trust you, but no, you keep lying to me.
It's a lot of fun to watch Tom Hiddleston be flustered at how much Mobius is onto his game.
But we do get the reveal, at least initially. Loki finally reveals to Mobius that, hey, you're all variants. You were not created by the Time Variant Authority. You're variants yourselves. You've been kidnapped from whatever timeline you had. You might have had a family. You might have had another life that you would have preferred to live, but you were taken out of that. And he says he doesn't believe him, but you can tell immediately that there's something inside of Mobius's head that says, maybe that's right.
Yeah, there's something about what Loki's saying that rings true. And so it puts him on the path to discover, to start investigating whether or not this might be true.
And there's another wonderful scene where we get that security guard that's been, I guess, the comedic foil that's been in all the episodes. She's having these memories. You can see really wonderful acting for not saying a word. The struggle on her face. She's coming to grips with what's happening. She's looking at this really kind of crazy TVA poster that gave you like a Big Brother is watching kind of feel to it. Like you can't trust these guys. She goes in to talk to Sylvie, and you can say that, yes, when she was enchanted, she remembered her past life, and it's been haunting her, and she wants to see it again and to see that she was happy in another life and that essentially she's not free anymore.
Yeah, it was a really powerful moment, I thought, and really well played by the actress, who up until this point I thought has just kind of been like background cardboard, but she really nailed it. They really gave her something to sink her teeth into, which was nice. The moment between her and Sylvie was fantastic, and kind of her crying in the rain was really, I thought, one of the most powerful moments in this show.
Yeah, so at this point I'm going, whoa, where's this been? This has been one of the most amazing episodes of any MCU show there's been yet. Like I couldn't believe how engaged I was. We get another scene, and this is between Ravana, that's the judge, and Mobius, and he's being very curious. He's investigating. He's talking around things. She's kind of getting onto the fact, but there's this weird little connection between the two, the way that they're talking and what we know now. And it almost feels like, Aaron, to me, that they're hinting that before they're in the TVA, that maybe these two were married or had another type of very close relationship. And it feels like maybe that's what's going to set the two of them free.
I hope that that's the case, because I thought of that, but then I also thought of the fact that maybe she's manipulating him. She knows how much he kind of yearns for that connection to somebody, and especially to her, since they've worked together for so long, and she was using it to manipulate him. But I hope that I'm wrong about that second thought. I hope that my first initial, I had the same initial thought that you did. That
I think it's all but confirmed. You're in fact correct that she was trying to manipulate him, because we get some reveals later. But
it may be. I mean, both may be true. She might have been trying to manipulate him, but it might be coming from some buried memories that she has of their relationship. She knows she can do that because they were, an item somewhere in the time stream.
Mobius steals her time contraption. I think it's called a TemCap. He goes over. He witnesses like the interrogation of a character that's dead. I think her name is B20. Is one of the hunters. And then during the interrogation, she says, I remember being on Earth. I had another life. And essentially, it's confirmed. They are variants. His whole world is shattered. He goes to Loki. They have a really nice conversation after Loki's been kicked in the nuts like 1,000 times in a row from Lady Sif. Closest thing that you're going to get to a laugh in this issue. I still don't think it's funny.
No, it wasn't funny. It was nice to see Jamie Alexander as Sif.
Mm-hmm. And it feels like at this point we're going on to the real adventure. I was like, why didn't this happen in episode 2? We could get Mobius, Loki jumping through the time variants and all these things and being chased down, and it would have been really exciting. And I was like, my goodness, things are going a place I didn't expect, but I'm really excited about it, Aaron. And then they're intercepted by Ravana the judge, and it does not go the way I expected at that point. I was really let down at this point.
Yeah, there's a lot of build-up.
It's supposed to be impactful and a big reveal, but
they're building tension through this whole episode, and then they just kind of diffuse it without any kind of it should be a bang, and instead it's just kind of a fizzle. It fizzles the way that Loki kind of does when Ravana hits him with the disappearing stick.
It's not Loki, it's Mobius.
Yeah. When she hit Mobius, it had no impact on me, because I was like, well, there's 2 episodes left and Owen Wilson's a big part of this show. So obviously I don't think that the sticks kill people. I think that there's something they get, transported somewhere. And then by the end of the episode, that was confirmed with them doing it to Loki. It's supposed to be a shocking moment that Loki gets disintegrated, but you're like, come on. It's like I always say about comics. When you have the main character stabbed through the back on the last panel of the last page, but that there's 3 more issues that have been solicited, the character's not in any danger.
Yeah, when you saw Robin die in Robin #1, okay, he's not dead. They're on Lazarus Island. They're going to figure this out. But that's my big problem here, Aaron. And I like the issue or this episode. I think it's good. But tension's like you got a piggy bank, and you're filling it up with all this tension, and you're supposed to get this really big payoff where you've been saving it up, and your investment pays off, and everyone's just mind blown. You finally build the tension in this episode, and they pay it off minutes later, and the impact is just lost.
I also think that a lot of the impact is lost through the direction. Again, I'm going to complain about how flat the directing is. The moment where Loki disintegrates should have had some impact. The moment where Mobius disintegrates should have had some impact, and instead, it's just a deflated moment. The difference between kind of what Loki is doing and what TV shows of this nature generally are supposed to be doing is that tension is supposed to build, and then there's supposed to be a big release, and then the tension starts building again. It's a constant ebb and flow. This one, just everything kind of falls flat. So that's
it's like a pressure cooker. It just builds, and then finally you got to let the pressure out and build it up some more.
Yeah, and we're kind of not getting that, and I blame a lot of it on the direction, because I don't think that this director is particularly has.
I would use the word. I don't think they're competent, personally.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely maybe for shooting a kind of a more sitcom-y show with the kind of comedy that they seem to be going for, which is also falling flat. But just for a big action adventure, high concept, time chase kind of story, you should have brought in somebody who was, had the chops to really deliver on that concept.
I agree with you. The pace has been all over the place, and but we're here. Some good things happen. We finally get to see the timekeepers. Big disappointment. They look stupid. They don't look real. It turns out that's a reason for that. We get the reveal essentially that we're in the Wizard of Oz. The wizards behind don't look behind the curtain. What you're looking at isn't real. Turns out they're androids after the one bodyguard lady comes in and kind of sets them free, and they start freeing themselves, Sylvie and Loki. Like I said, this is supposed to be a big, impactful moment. I was like, okay, I'm not invested in the timekeepers.
No, I haven't seen anything of them that made me. That's like, I've known that they've
done nothing ruthless to this point. You know what I mean? Like
making them fake was the obvious choice. It was always the most obvious thing, and they just went with the most obvious thing, and I'm supposed to be invested or shocked. Like, it's not a shocking moment that the timekeepers are fake, that they're, just androids that are sitting up there that are being manipulated and controlled. It does open up the question of who is pulling the strings, but again, I'm not invested enough in the narrative of this thing to like really like get excited about it. Like, I'm not. My head isn't swimming with the possibilities the way that it should be. And maybe part of that is due to WandaVision, where everyone was speculating that Mephisto was going to be brought in. And because you keep thinking of all these interesting things as a comic reader, and as someone who loves the canon of these things, you keep thinking of all the things that they could do. But you don't want to really get invested in hoping for it, because they're probably not going to, because the people that are writing the shows haven't read the comics. We've basically seen them admit that. They're just kind of creating their own thing with what they know from the MCU movies. So, you're not going to get any kind of really exciting geek comic reveal, most likely.
Yeah, so we get the reveal. This is another part that I think the director absolutely fails. When Loki and Sylvie are fighting like the guards to get to the timekeepers, I see everyone die except for Ravonna. I'm like, I wonder why she got up. She didn't kill her. Doesn't even appear to have incapacitated her. Loki decides he's going to tell Sylvie he loves her, which we were told could destroy everything, destroy all time. And as he's about to, profess his love for her, he disintegrates, and that's like the last moment. Is I didn't think that character was dead anyway. I thought it was stupid that she got up, like she wasn't done yet.
Yeah, there was no impact. There was nothing that made you think that she was dead or that she was out of action. So the whole time that they were having that moment, I was already saying, well, what about Ravonna? Is nobody watching Ravonna? Like what's? Oh, okay, so we can do the stabby in the back thing. We can do that cliche. And then I was just like, okay. And then the episode ends with Sylvie like basically telling her that she's going to tell her everything, and that's supposed to be the cliffhanger. And I was like, I don't care.
I don't care about Sylvie. I cared about Mobius and Loki.
Yeah, I only care about Sylvie as far as Loki goes. Like, I am kind of interested in the idea that Loki is such a narcissist that he's fallen
in love with himself.
A version of himself. I think that's fun. I think you could have a lot of fun with that.
With a better actress,
I want to lay it on the actress playing Sylvie.
I do.
Because maybe she could be fun if they wrote her that way and they directed her that way. Maybe she could deliver that performance. But if this is the performance that she's being asked to give, I can't really lay it on her, because this is what she's doing what she's been told to do as an actor. But that whole, like, I'm not invested in her story. I am a little bit invested in finding out what's going on, because it's a slight mystery, but I don't know that the answers are going to be satisfying. And this is kind of the sad part of like where I've kind of arrived at with these Marvel shows, is that I don't expect them to deliver what would really get me excited. So my expectations are always very tempered.
So we get to the end. That's the end of the episode. We do get an after credit scene. Loki wakes up. Shocking. Tom Hiddleston's Loki is not gone. And he hears a voice. I think he says, am I in hell? And they're like, you need to come with us. He sits up. We get the original Loki from the comics. We get Kid Loki. We also get what looks like Komodo Dragon Loki, as well as Black Thor, and a pretty interesting cliffhanger in the after credits scene.
Yeah, I was. I mean, Richard Grant's. I'm so excited that he's like the old version of Loki. I think that's a lot of fun. Very good casting there. His costume looks terrible. It's very comic accurate, but like they put no money into it whatsoever. It looks like a bad cosplay. I've seen cosplayers do that exact costume and make it look cool, and they didn't even bother to do that for Richard Grant. So I'm sure that maybe we'll get some lame attempts at comedy based on that. Loki will insult his wardrobe, and it won't be funny, but it'll be a thing. But yeah, it's like, oh, okay, here's some Lokis and some Thors, and we're gonna open up the idea of the multiverse, which is really kind of what this show promised from the beginning, and we're finally now kind of scratching the surface of that.
Yeah, it's crazy. For like 25 minutes, this is almost a perfect episode for where it started and where it was. I was like, I can't believe they got here. This is really good stuff. We got some really dynamite performance. The chemistry for Mobius and Loki was off the chain. I was like, I just want these two characters together now, because there's this weird camaraderie, mystery, combativeness that I just want to see that. And of course, they take it away almost immediately.
You want to see a Time Buddies road trip. You want to see a bromance. You want to see the bromance between Loki and Mobius as they just
with Mobius, riding a jet ski at the end.
Yeah, from alternate universe to alternate universe. Maybe Mobius even rides a space jet ski. That would be amazing. Maybe in another universe, he's a Herald of Galactus and he rides a jet ski. That would be fantastic. Just pull out all the stops. That's what you want. You want this to be a big what-if, crazy town, cosmic romp with these two characters. And maybe, I don't know, maybe if we get a Loki season 2, maybe that's what it'll be. But
perhaps we're not going to get these last 2 episodes. I do think Mobius will come back and hopefully be reunited with whatever family was left behind when they took him and made him a variant into the
I hope
the
he's
TVA.
a jet ski instructor.
It'd be perfect, yeah, something like that. And obviously Tom Hiddleston's not dead. So I really loved over half of this, but once they started killing off characters, I was like, you forgot to kill off the one character that doesn't matter right now. Who cares about Sylvie? Like, these are the characters that at least I'm invested in.
Well, I feel like the writers are invested in Sylvie. I think that it's, in a lot of ways, it's kind of the Sylvie show in their mind. And that may be what we're getting with the last 2 episodes. I could be wrong, and hopefully...
Well, I feel bad because they shouldn't have cast Tom Hiddleston and brought him back as Loki. They should have brought an alternate Loki that was less charismatic and likable. And maybe she could have been the show stealer that they wanted her to be.
One thing that's interesting to me is I noticed, especially on the close-up of Tom Hiddleston laying on the ground, the lighting and like the HD cameras and things like that, it really started, like, something about his appearance has been bothering me through the show, and it kind of finally hit me, is that Tom Hiddleston has now hit an age where dyed hair looks ridiculous. And in that close-up, I was like, oh yeah, I don't know how much longer he can do Loki and not look like a sad, like an Arnold Schwarzenegger type, where it's like he's still dyeing his hair brown, and you're like, yeah, no, it doesn't look right. He's kind of hitting that point. So I don't know. I think you almost have to, and maybe that's what they're doing with this multiverse, is maybe they're looking at switching off actors, into the other, into the characters so they can keep going with Iron Man, but maybe not necessarily with Robert Downey Jr. I don't think it'll work. I think people are too invested in the actors that are playing them, but maybe that's the plan.
Absolutely. So I was very satisfied, even though I don't think they stuck the landing. I don't fault the cast. I think they brought their A game. This is the best episode so far. There's a lot of exciting stuff. It felt like they were building up to some really cool things. Apparently, I just don't think that director knows how to build and pay off tension. And so you're paying off these things way too early after you've realized them. And, that's a bit of a letdown. But, hey, this was a lot of fun. And this is what I wish the series had been, from day one.
I agree. Yeah, I definitely think that it's headed in the right direction. So fingers crossed for the last 2 episodes. I hope that they finally can stick the landing on something, that all of these things are building towards something meaningful and interesting. So, like I said, fingers crossed.